won't take up any more, and I will hand it over to you. Just to mention that I have read through your petition and your submissions, and very informative, and appreciate all you have to say. All yours.
Thank you. Thanks, sir. Kia ora koutou. We are Vape-Free Kids NZ, and our kaupapa is to stop the harm to young people from vaping. We believe to achieve this, you need to reduce the availability by cutting the number of vape retailers significantly, reduce the appeal by hiding them away, just like you do with tobacco products, getting rid of the flavours, and funding stop vape services for already addicted youth. My name is Charlie, and I'd really like you to not just hear my story, but really listen. And please know it is not unique. This is my son. He is 13. 18 months ago, he was competing in New Caledonia at the Oceania climbing competition. Note, he is wearing a New Zealand emblem. He climbed for this country. The previous and successive government, he represented you and all of you. He was really proud. His goal was to compete at the Olympics. He climbed for his country, who should be taking all practical steps to ensure he has a healthy environment to grow up in. He was introduced to vaping a few months after this event by his supposed best friend. He told me it smelt nice, tasted good, and he enjoyed the head spin it gave him. We soon started noticing the recurring and regular late notes and absences from his classes. His behaviour drastically changed to an angry, frustrated young man when he couldn't get a hit. His teachers tried to educate him. His family tried to educate him. We tried, but to no avail. He was already hooked. And he learned which friends were a good source for him to score off. This is my son now, at 15. He's a very different person. This is now what he enjoys, hanging out in bathrooms with no goals other than who he can score a puff on a vape from. He no longer climbs at all. Successive governments have failed him and so many others by not acting fast enough and allowing this epidemic. As parents, the children are our why, and we can only do so much on the ground. We need your help and to please make good on the promises that you've made. You know all the data, you've read it, you've read the submission, and you know how much of a problem it is.
My name is Anna. I'm from Ilam in Christchurch. I am not political and I'm not well funded. So today I have nothing to offer you besides my family's reality and a challenge to do the right thing. Until last year, I had never had to question if I was a good parent. I had already raised 2 responsible adults. When I learned my teenager was stealing to fund a year-long addiction to nicotine, I was devastated. I marched into the dairy illegally selling him fruity vapes, and I confronted the owner. Eyeballing him, I declared that I would see him serve justice until his ability to exploit my child was gone. However, after turning over every rock and regulation and learning that because of a lack of appetite, funding and resources, that there wasn't any justice to be had, I went from devastation to anger. That's why I am here, to be a pebble in the shoe of officials who prioritise this addiction industry or the convenience of smokers over Kiwi children now and future. There is nothing else for me to do. Failure to do this sooner has scuttled our ability to shield children from this epidemic, and so we as parents bear the cost. As a parent who adores her child, this hurts us every day. So with every step you take away from upholding the well-being of those who trustingly put you here, I hope you feel me, because I am not going away and I am not alone. There are thousands that share my frustration, despair and outrage over the 7,500 stores trading with near impunity from overwhelmed regulatory bodies, all telling me they need more levers to pull. Only a handful of the worst have seen consequences and only one is facing prosecution. Despite a year of constant campaigning, media spotlight, broken election promises from successive governments and mounting evidence about the harm of vaping, it has been 12 unimpeded months of trading for this dairy that sold my son vapes. He's not afraid, and why should he be, with one enforcement officer from Ashburton to Kaikoura. If you really want to set NZ up as a thriving first world democracy, not governed by cancerous commercial interests that undermine health, it is time to do the right thing. Remember my son, remember your own sons and daughters, and protect them before it's too late.
Hi everyone, I'm Marnie and I'm mum to Abe and Jim, and they're the, sorry.
Pictures.
Oh, sorry. I'm Marnie and I'm mum to Abe and Jim, and they are the reason that I'm here today. As a parent, I have the most important job in the world, and that's safeguarding my children. Yet I'm faced with trying to do that in a country that's normalised and saturated our communities with vapes. Vapes are now so available that as a parent, I'm worried about my kids becoming addicted as they grow up around it. The multiple vape shops that they pass on the way to school, the vapes at the dairy where they get an ice cream, the vapes at my son's softball games, school toilets, vapes are everywhere. I'm an older mum, I'm 53, and most of my friends' kids are in their 20s now, and they didn't grow up with this around them. And I feel, why should my kids have this? Why should all of our kids have this? So I'm asking you as lawmakers to urgently help. New Zealand has signed up to the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child, and we're failing to uphold that obligation when it comes to protecting our kids from vaping. Our kids deserve better.
My name's Tammy. I'm mum to Rosa and Jack, and I'm also on the board at their primary school. Vaping's literally come to the doorstep of our school. Not content with selling vapes in the liquor store, the owner opened up a vape store 2 doors down so he could sell all the flavours. Now vaping is glamorised to our children every day as they walk past. At school, vapes turn up in bags and pockets, found discarded by older siblings and parents. They show them off to their mates at lunchtime. For some, the attraction has now turned to addiction, and learning becomes secondary to getting their next hit. The teachers struggle with anxious and disruptive behaviour, while management begs for support. Our school was lucky. We were able to access one of the ministry psychologists. Treatment plan, leaving school to vape multiple times a day in an attempt to wean them off. Whether your child is the one vaping or not, that impacted. Our children didn't ask for this, and they have no control to change it. This is where they need you. Your choices can either protect them or harm them.
Hello, my name is Cheryl. I work in customer advocacy for a large insurer. My full-time job is to advocate for fair outcomes. This is a photo of my partner and I with our 3 amazing boys aged 15, 17 and 20. Lobbyists for the companies that produce vapes and the retailers who profit from selling them are very quick to point the finger at parents, crying parental responsibility, to shift the blame from themselves and onto us for not parenting our children away from the addictions they serve up to them. These mega-rich companies know that our children in their adolescence are still developing the area of their brains responsible for impulse control. They know that this makes our kids more likely to make impulsive, silly decisions, making them perfect targets to become customers, to secure the future of their profits from addiction and misery. So they spend millions on designing these instruments of addiction to be utterly irresistible to children. They look like toys, they smell and taste like lollies, and they're filled with a substance as addictive as cocaine and heroin. And then, once they've successfully addicted our kids, they gaslight us as their parents by saying it's our fault. In case anyone needs it, my family's proof that this is simply not true. We have 3 boys, all who receive the same parenting, and yet only one has become helplessly addicted to vaping with no help available to him. Spoiler alert, it's the one who's now an adult. And he can see now what the dairies that sold to him as a child and the companies that designed these products have done to him, and he's furious about it. A large part of the reason the younger 2 haven't succumbed is that they've seen what vaping's done to their brother and how he is unable to get any help to stop. So they know what it will do to them, which makes it a little easier to resist the attempts to addict them that are everywhere they look. How sickening is that? Why should one of our kids have to be sacrificed to this industry and hurt by it for the other 2 to understand the risk? Our children do not want or need the addiction they are being bombarded with. And I've tried to tell you, an impressive group of rangatahi called the Hashtags from right here in Wellington have been here before Select Committee 3 times now, and they've been ignored. So perhaps you'll listen to us instead, the mama. We are here today as 5 of your constituents, 5 Middle New Zealand mothers that represent an army of thousands more Middle New Zealanders, to tell you that this government is not delivering on the campaign promises that we voted for. And we intend to remind you and the rest of the country of this every chance we get. Please I'm asking today that rather than towing the party line, just put your colours aside for a moment. Think instead of the precious children in your own families and consider whether you really, truly believe in your hearts that your policies put those children above the commercially driven industries that want access to them.
Thank you very much. But I hear you, we all hear you, right? We agree with a huge amount of what you have to say, and I think anyone reading through those submissions that were made would see the incredible pain that parents and you are all going through. I've got young children. I know how addictive nicotine is and how addictive vaping can be, and I really feel for you all on this, and I want to commend you for bringing this forward to the select committee and for sharing this with us. So thank you very much. I think I probably speak for all members on that. We are out, but I will allow you to go for one.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you. I do have a question, and thank you. I totally agree with the points that she has made about the submission. The question I had was, a couple of you touched on the lack of enforcement, and so I just obviously you keep regulations, but they're only as good as the enforcement. So I'm just wondering if you've got any suggestions about enforcement that you'd like to see. That's, I think, an area of discussion that we need to
It is. Look, increasing the fine doesn't change anything. Really, it's about the people on the ground and the ones that we talk to say, give us more levers, make it less challenging for them to understand the regulations, because that's a huge hurdle, even knowing what they can do within existing regulations. Give them more powers to actually enforce them. Because at the moment, like I said, there's one that's being prosecuted that's happening at the moment. He's been selling unrestrained for years.
Yeah.
And there's one enforcement officer from Ashburton to Kaikoura. That's a huge area.
Yeah.
And
Thousands
when you've got thousands of stores in that area, only one person going around those stores, there's,
And if you don't have the money to invest in those enforcements, then maybe you should reduce the number of stores, because 7,500 is ridiculous, the amount of people that are available to actually enforce them.
It's absolutely incredible.
And that's an estimate.
We've got Jenny with her hand up, Jenny Marcroft from New Zealand First.
Oh, thank you very much. Really acknowledge, the stress and anxiety that all of your families are under, and the courage it takes to come and appear in front of the select committee. So just acknowledging you all today. Our government is, wanting and aware of this issue around vaping. And so I just wanted to let you know a couple of the things that we are intending to get on with. And it is our concern around the availability of these disposable vapes. And so that we do understand too many teenagers are continuing to be able to access these. They're cheap and they're far too easy to get hold of. So these single-use vapes, it is our intention to have them banned outright. We also believe that selling of these products to those under 18 is wrong, and we'll be addressing that as well.
We are aware of those changes, and we believe that you need to look really, really carefully about the industry and how they will respond to any legislation that you put in place, because disposable vapes, they've already worked their way around the last changes.
And I'll just comment. I saw the regulations when they came in on the 21st of December, and I went to see what had happened, and I walked in and they just had brand new products ready to go, and all you had to do was click a little button 5 times and it's effectively the same. Very, very similar to the same thing. It's a disposable vape, right? For all intents and purposes.
They pivot so quickly, the industry.
Very sharp on that.
Yeah, it has to be a reduction in the numbers of outlets to make a real difference.
We'll go with her, Hannah, and then I'll have to.
It's just a question, and thank you very much as mamas coming for the select committee and to the sector that are here to support our young people. My question relates to cessation support and what is available for those under the age of 16 that you have seen. Is there any? Nothing.
Nothing.
I think it was under 18, there's nothing.
There's nothing for
correct?
anyone for vaping, but nothing for children either.
Which is incredible when you consider that more children were suspended at primary and intermediate than secondary school.
And so we've got incredible people out there doing it off their own back, resourcing it themselves, scratching around
Yeah.
for money from anywhere they can get it and resources from cupboards at the back of their offices to go out and deliver support.
Did I also read that Quitline isn't available for vapers?
Correct.
No, yes.
They're not allowed to.
Yeah.
Okay,
And it's not available for those adults that are vaping as well. It's only if they're vaping to quit smoking. If an adult has started vaping just because they want to vape,
right.
there is nothing to help them either. It's
Yeah.
very much smoking oriented.
That's not where we need to be. Yeah.
No.
Okay, we're going to have to wrap this up.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank you.
again.
Thank you, Kia ora.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we are suspended until 1 o'clock.
Oh,